Dang, this is super close, guys. Last week's 21 Pilots Tuesday, we had a lot of people vote for a lot of different songs, and the winner had 78 votes, and the second place song had 71. Like, it wasn't even nearly as close last time. That's just freaking incredible. The second place was Forest, and as you know, because you read the title of this video, first place was Isle of Flightless Birds, and I'm super happy about that. I will say I hope that somebody votes for Holding On To You soon, because I'd really like to see that one. The person whose comment got all of those votes was Larissa. Larissa, you're fantastic. Great choice music. And a lot of people commented on hers. And then a lot of other people have suggested Isle of Flightless Birds over the months that I've been doing this. And there's just too many people to name, but you guys know who you are. I've read all of your comments, and I appreciate the fact that you've requested this song. But Isle of Flightless Birds, fantastic song. You guys, fantastic, super taste in 21 Pilots songs, and I'm saying fantastic and awesome and words like that too much, so I'm going to kind of tone that down. But essentially, this is Monday night that I'm filming this, and just to give you guys a little bit of context, I got home late tonight. It's like 11:30 at night. I'm ready to go film this tomorrow, edit this tomorrow, and yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I think you guys are going to like this video. Isle of Flightless Birds is a really good song, and it's about a lot of the themes that mean the most to me in 21 Pilots, because they talk about thinking a lot, and about how our lives as humans are less spectacular than we think that they are, but at the same time, we still act like they're the biggest thing, most important things in our lives. And so Isle of Flightless Birds challenges all of us to think a little bit differently and to be slightly different people, and it's a really powerful song. And then of course you've got like the sick reggae slash rap that's going on all throughout this track, and it's like really unique musically, and it's one of the early songs I think that made me fall in love with 21 Pilots. I used to listen to them on Groove Shark, and Isle of Flightless Birds it was up all the time, and I really love it. But yeah, so we're gonna get into it, and one thing I want to point out too, guys, it is 21 Pilots Tuesdays, so don't forget to comment your 21 Pilots song that you want me to explain next week, and upvote other people who did the similar one. I try to every week pick the one comment that has the most upvotes, so it really helps to comment yours and to upvote other people who have the same one, even if you're like upvoting all of the people who commented Isle of Flightless Birds. So that is kind of cool to know, I guess. The other thing is that you probably have noticed in my videos that I've stopped putting the subtitles in the video, and that is actually kind of a super bummer because there were a lot of people who really liked those, but I'm just finding with putting out this many videos and the full-time job I'm working and trying to put up another startup project that you might hear more about soon, I just have to cut that extra time that it takes here and there, so I'm not going to have the subtitles, but I might put like a stretch goal in my Patreon or something like that, which could be kind of cool. That being said, thanks to all my patrons who are supporting this video and making it possible. You guys absolutely rock. If anybody here is interested in joining me on Patreon for like $1 a month, you can get access to some cool stuff. So anyway, enough of the shameless plug. Let's get on to Isle of Flightless Birds. The other cool thing about not putting the subtitles here is I'll probably read more of the lyrics, and I'm more likely to do line by line because I don't have to put subtitles in for every single line. But yeah, let's jump into it. So the first line is, "Now is the climax to the story." So we know that this song is actually the last one on the self-titled album, and he's basically saying, like, I've been talking about these themes throughout this whole album, and now we're going to kind of summarize it and give it to you in a nice little present. But he says, "The story that gives the demons and angels purpose, they fly around while we are walking and mold our emotions just to please him." So you kind of get this idea of human beings walking around on planet Earth, just doing whatever they want, but allowing these unseen forces to do things to them and to make them feel a certain way. And so they're not having their own purpose, perhaps, or maybe it's about how these humans are walking around on the earth and they're trying to make decisions between right and wrong, and the demons and the angels are trying to get them to do one thing or the other, and it makes them happy when the humans do what they said to do. And so there's kind of this cosmic invisible war happening. I don't know if I have the book here on the shelf somewhere. Let me see if I do. There's a book that's kind of about exactly this thing, and if I can't find it really quickly, we'll move on. Let's see, The Visitation. Okay, it is by Frank Peretti, so it is that guy right there. He also wrote Prophet, and that was a really good book. Down here somewhere, maybe. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, dang. Maybe I don't actually have it. Maybe I don't. Okay. Well, anyway, so there's this really cool book called Piercing the Darkness, and This Present Darkness is the sequel, or maybe it's the opposite. But anyway, it kind of personifies the cosmic devil and angel battle that happens in the sky around us, and it's influenced by prayer, and God's giving orders to the angels, and the devil's giving order to the demons. And the song, or the books get a little bit wrong theologically, but you kind of get the feeling of the same picture here with demons and angels fighting in the air around us as they influence or support us in some sort of invisible spiritual way. I don't know exactly how spiritual warfare works, but it seems like that kind of idea is what Tyler's referring to here. In the chorus, he says, "I am cold. Can you hear? I will fly with no hope, no fear. And the ground taunts my wings, plummet as I sing, plummet as I sing." And it's almost as if though like humans have wings, and so they have this potential to be something and to do something really cool. Now, do they always do it? Well, we don't really know. And it sounds like Tyler is kind of failing in this case. He's cold, he's flying with no hope, no fear, and the ground taunts his wings, and he's plummeting, but still he continues to sing. And plummeting seems to be sort of this metaphor for that journey he goes through as he's fighting his depressive thoughts and whatnot, right? Verse 2 is, I think, the first rap, and it's really, really good. All we are is an isle of flightless birds, and that kind of reminds me of penguins. Obviously, there are more flightless birds than just penguins. There's kiwis and ostriches. I can't think of any others. If you guys can think of another flightless bird, please name it. I'd love to know. Now I'm going to be thinking really hard. Anyway, so Isle of Flightless Birds, I think of like this island of penguins in South America or something, like pretty close to Antarctica, but not quite, and they can't fly. And so he mentioned those wings, right? And he's plummeting, and so it's kind of like these birds all forgot how to fly because they just were happy with living the lives that they lived on the ground, and so they stopped thinking of the sky. So they lacked that inspiration, and they settled for too little because they didn't grasp the fundamental truths of who they were and what the universe was, or how interesting it could be to leave their little island. I mean, you kind of get a picture of what this little island's like, because Tyler says, we find our worth in giving birth and stuff. We're lining our homes against winding roads, and we think the going is tough. We pick songs to sing, remind us of things that nobody cares about, and honestly, we're probably more suicidal than ever now. And so he's kind of painting this picture of these flightless birds saying, hey, I'm super happy just to live this life, or I'm trying to build the American dream and get my white picket fence and build a house and have a lot of stuff. I'm going to have some kids, and that's going to be great. Giving kids or having kids is a good thing, but Tyler here is saying that like we find our worth in that. Well, we should find our worth in something even higher. And then he continues on. Well, I think it's interesting that he mentions the fact that we're probably more suicidal than ever now, which may very well be true. I haven't done the research on it, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. And he says, he kind of gives like the solution to this, or to the opposite. He gives the opposite of what he's talking about here. So if we had our wings, it would start this way. He says, if you decide to live by what you think's wrong and what's right, so if you live on principles and morals. Now, a lot of the time, I feel confused about who I am and what I should be doing with my life. And the solution I constantly come back to is, well, I need to be doing what's wrong. No, I need to be doing what's right, and I need to be avoiding what's wrong. And I think that that's really kind of a simple way of breaking it all down. And so if you're ever in a situation, ask yourself what's wrong and what's right. Now, it's not always black and white. Sometimes it's very gray. But he's saying that we need to start by trying to live that life. And he says that it's not going to be easy. You'll begin to wish you were sleeping. And in car radio, we hear that there's a difference between sleeping and being awake, or thinking and having faith, and then, I think, what did he say? It was like, there's faith and there's sleep. We need to pick one, please. And faith is to be awake. And eventually he compares it to thinking, too. And so he's saying, instead of thinking about what's wrong and what's right, you're going to wish that you were sleeping. And choosing what's wrong and what's right is what 21 Pilots' name actually came from, because it was based on a play by Arthur Miller, in which 21 pilots die because somebody chose what was easy rather than what was right. And so the whole concept of 21 Pilots has been based on that idea. And so it's really cool to see it showing up here in self-titled. Sorry, regional at best. All right, so he continues, your weeping will creep in your head and you'll cry, but if we wake up every morning and decide what we believe, so going back to what's wrong and what's right, We can take apart our very heart and the light will set us free. So that heart that's kind of leading us astray, or we can kind of take that heart apart and look into all the dark places and figure it out and figure out who we are. It's like taking apart the pieces of a car. You can really learn how the car works and what kind of a car it is and how fast it's going to go if you take apart that engine and you tinker with it and make it work even better. We get a couple of iterations of the chorus where he's plummeting, and then we hop into verse 3, which is the other rap, where he says, how, and this one is interesting because I think he's referring to God in it a lot. He says, how frustrating and so degrading his time we're wasting. So I think he's saying that we could be frustrating God, and that we're kind of degrading, what he's given us because we're wasting his time. It says, time will fly by and the sky will cry as light is fading, and he is waiting oh so patiently while we repeat the same routine as we will please comfortability. So we as humans value this comfortability. We flightless birds, and we're repeating this same routine daily and daily. I have a feeling that the same routine also kind of involves a like, hey, I'm gonna do better and I'm gonna do what's right and I'm not gonna do what's wrong, and then failing and giving up and then figuring it out again and kind of going through that. That's a very human thing to do, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's slightly referring to that as well. Well, he continues, and please think about why you can't sleep in the evening. So it's kind of like this first half of the verse, just like with the other one, is, here's kind of what's wrong, and now we've got the solution. Please think about why you can't sleep in the evening. Is it guilt? Is it, depression? And if so, that depression, does it lead you to the conclusions about what's wrong with the world or something like that? And please don't be afraid of what your soul is really thinking. And so even if you have thoughts that scare you, like, think about it and interact with that, perhaps is what he's saying, and weigh them against truth and take apart your heart to figure out where these thoughts are coming from. Your soul knows good and evil. Your soul knows both sides. So he's essentially referring to the conscience here and saying, it's really not that difficult to choose between right and wrong because your soul does know the difference. And he says, it's time to pick your battles, and I promise you this is mine. So his battle is reminding us of all of this stuff, and and technically his battle is reminding us to pick our own battles and to decide what's right and what's wrong. For him, what's right is writing Isle of Flightless Birds and reminding us to be who we're supposed to be. Now, obviously, guys, I am very, very excited about this song. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think it's got some really cool meanings here, some really cool reminders for all of us, truly some words to live by. Yeah, this is really good stuff. I'm not going to get all emotional like I did with Trees last week, just because Isle of Flightless Birds isn't necessarily an emotional song to me. It's much more of an intellectual one. But I think it's cool because it reminds me of the facts of what are right and wrong and what I need to do and who I need to be, rather than something that makes me sad for a little bit or gives me great encouragement like Trees does, just because I share this experience with Tyler. But I think Isle of Flightless Birds is cool because it's like, hey, don't forget, you need to do these things. And I feel better after listening to it because I feel like I have a map, I have some direction, and I have some truth. And I think that's what makes it beautiful. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to hear what you think about Isle of Flightless Birds, why you like it, and don't forget, I need to know if there are any other flightless birds besides penguins, ostriches, and kiwis. And then what 21 Pilots song do you want to hear me explain next week on 21 Pilots Tuesdays? And don't forget to upvote other people who agree with you, right? In any case, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you guys learned something from it, that you enjoyed it, and that you will come back next week. I care about you guys. Talk to you then.